In this video, let's talk about statistic test. What are statistical tests? So think of statistical tests like a special kind of detective work which has something to do with numbers. And let's say, to give you an example, why do we need statistical test? Let's say we have I have an example for you. Let's say we have jelly beans. We have a big jar of jelly beans, and we want to know if this big jar has what are the patterns in this big jar of the jelly beans? Are there any specific pattern? So if, let's say, if I want to know if most of them are red or not, what I'll do is simply, rather than counting all the jelly beans in the jar, what I'll try to do is I'll take a small sample, and on these samples I'll try to make sure that this is a fair sample which I've taken from this big jar of jelly bean, and I'll see what are the patterns and what are the findings. Based on the findings and patterns on this sample, I'll try to recommend what my big jar of jelly bean looks like and what are its finding and what are its pattern. So this is basically what statistical test. Uh, uh, this is the reason why we use statistical test. Next, and there are two types of statistical test. First is parametric and second is non-parametric. So let's go deep into this. These are two types of statistical test. First is parametric, second is non-parametric. And parametric test, why do we use it? So, and when do we use it? So basically, parametric tests are a statistical test that make specific assumption about the parameter of the sample population, the sample jelly beans which we have taken. Like they assume that that sample which we have taken is following the normality distribution. The data which we have should be normally distributed. Secondly, they also have few more parameters which decide whether, or criteria which decides whether we should use parametric or non-parametric, and we'll look into it in the videos as we go ahead. But this is what we decide. We select. This is how we select if we use parametric test or non-parametric test. Most commonly used parametric tests are t-test, ANOVA linear regression, and Pearson correlation. Secondly, non-parametric tests are kind of statistical tests which do not make some specific assumptions that were being made in parametric tests, like normalized data distribution and stuff. And it is quite more flexible, but the key difference is non-parametric tests are generally less powerful than parametric tests. And widely used non-parametric tests are Mann-Whitney U-test, Wilcoxon, Kruskal, and Spearman's correlation. So that's it for this video. Next video, let's try to see what are parametric tests, and let's dive deep into t-test, ANOVA linear regression, and Pearson. Thanks.